Welcome to the Steve Stine Guitar Podcast, brought to you by GuitarZoom.com. If you want to improve your guitar playing, keep listening. If you want to improve even faster, go to GuitarZoom.com, where you'll find all of Steve's premium courses, masterclasses, and memberships that'll help you quickly and easily improve your playing. Now here's your host, Steve Stine.
And then,
wow. Listen to you getting jiggy with it with your dominant sevenths.
yeah, I like blues.
I like blues. I do too. Cool. All right. Hey, look, we're doing another live blues guitar workshop for you guys. I'm Dan Denley, founder of GuitarZoom.com. This is my good friend, Steve Stine.
Hello.
There, Governor. A spot of tea
Hello,
for you.
Governor.
A spot of tea. I'm having my spot of tea.
I already had
I'm
some.
a tea drinker. Yeah. So anyway, guys, another blues guitar workshop. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. Always a privilege. Hey, do us a favor when you guys are kind of coming in here and getting settled. Tell us where you're from. Steve and I always love to see that. We have people from literally all over the world, which just continues to fascinate me, that there are just people all over the world at whatever time zone, you know, to tune in. Damn, how old am I? Turn the old radio dial. Today, guys, we're going to be doing something pretty cool. I think you're going to like it. It's basically distinguishing the difference between straight and shuffle rhythm or swing rhythm. Steve and I were just having a little conversation about the difference between swing and shuffle before we got going here. We're going to try to explain it, and hopefully you'll get something out of this. This is just something important to understand. And if you want to learn the difference between straight and swing rhythm, keep watching. If you want to learn it even faster, you might want to check out Steve's new course. It's called Blues Guitar by Steve Stine, and it's available at GuitarZoom.com. Steve, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man.
Good.
Always a pleasure to be here with you, sir. Highlight of my day.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I'm not just saying it.
All right,
Anyway,
so we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about swing and straight rhythm, and again, it's a pretty straightforward concept. But if you're new to it, like when I would teach beginning guitar classes and things like that, and you would try and teach, like one of the songs I would teach would be Horse with No Name, because it's a pretty straightforward song. And a lot of times I wouldn't even mention the rhythm of the song. People would just play along, right? So I would teach them, a real simple way of being able to play that song and then strumming along. And oftentimes you'd find people, they'd be strumming without even realizing that they're playing a swing style rhythm. Mm-hmm. And but it's important to talk about the difference between the two, and it's pretty straightforward. But like I said, I'm going to show you some tips on how to develop the swing or the shuffle kind of rhythm to it. So the first thing to understand is that a straight rhythm, think of it as marching. It's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and it is absolutely even. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. This sort of thing, okay? And the majority of music that you listen to in the pop, rock, metal, country world tends to be straight, okay? It's in the blues genre that you tend to hear more swing. And that doesn't mean you don't hear swing in other styles of music, because you certainly do, country and country western and ragtime, like we had talked about, some things like that. But swing is a little different, because if you think of swing, now I'm going to use the words swing and shuffle interchangeably, okay? There are subtle differences between them, especially if you're a drummer. It has to do with the beat and things like that. But in terms of theory, we're just looking at the swing or the shuffle. So if I use those words, understand I'm using them interchangeably. What happens is, think of it as a heartbeat, right? So if you're thinking of it as, okay, that's going to be our swing. Mm-hmm. So instead of being 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So that middle eighth note, if you will, is closer to the next beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's not in the middle, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So when you're strumming, like if we're talking about down-up strumming, for instance, and I'm just going to use scratching as our example. So if I was playing straight, I'm thinking about, in my head, I'm thinking about playing, even amounts on the top and the bottom of the string. So as my pick moves through, my arm creates, and if you've ever heard me talk about strumming before, you know what I'm talking about here, but my arm is moving like a metronome, right? So as I move, it doesn't stop. It just moves back and forth. And I'm basically moving even amounts up on top and on the bottom of those strings. So I'm getting a straight sound with that rhythm, an even sound, if you will. Okay? When it comes to swing, there's two different ways to think about it. One is you're going to stop on the bottom for a little bit longer. So I'm still moving the even amount. But what I found is a lot of people are able to visualize this better if I tell them, instead of thinking about playing the even amount on the top and the bottom, move it. So you're going to be right on top of that sixth string, and then down here, you've got more space. So you're still going to move your arm the exact same way you did before. You don't have to stop. But because there's more space on the bottom, it's going to take longer to get back up here. So if you go, it's off center. So you wind up getting this swing feel, and you can think about it any way you want. I mean, for some people, playing the swing rhythm is very easy because they can feel this happening. But for some people, they have a hard time really being able to feel and distinguish the difference between the two. They can hear it, but they have a hard time feeling it. And so you really want to think about that heartbeat. Bum, 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 bum. And again, when you go to actually physically start strumming this, now we're using down-up strumming as our example right now, okay? And when you do that, you're either going to have to stop on the bottom for a little bit to create more space, or just think of strumming off center, strumming from here down to, here or something like that. And you're going to wind up getting that. And you want to practice, like you'll notice I'm just scratching here. I'm taking the chords out because I really want to learn to develop that rhythm, that groove, and learn to feel it. So when I'm playing and I start adding chords in between, whatever it is that I would add, I can feel that rhythm happening. My arm is, again, being a metronome, and it's just keeping this beat happening the entire time. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if we break down this swing or this shuffle a little bit more, what we're going to realize is what we're actually doing is playing what's called a triplet. So we've got 3 beats here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And what we're doing is we're skipping the middle one. So we're getting 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. That's what's actually happening. Again, whether that helps you or not, I'm not sure, but that's what the theory is behind the swing. Where when we play even or we play straight, we're just playing what we call eighth notes, 1 and 2 and, or 16th notes, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a. And again, it's easier in my mind just to think of marching, right? Mm-hmm. Just keeping it straight or running, right? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 2. It's just the same thing over and over and over. Or if all of a sudden I hurt my ankle, I'm probably doing a swing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? So that's what happens. So it's getting it straight in your head, and then again, understanding what the logic is behind it. So that's how you would approach that from the down-up strumming perspective. Now, if you're strumming everything down, it's the same thing, but obviously you've got to be more aware of the rhythm. So if you're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, again, you can see my hand is just making a constant motion, keeping it even. If I play it as a swing or a shuffle, then I get, okay, which means I really do have to pause at this point, right? I have to create more space. So I've got to make sure that I feel this more on these downs to be able to create that. Okay? So there's lots of different ways you can hear some songs, some music out there. It's really sometimes hard to distinguish the swing from the straight. Sometimes the guitar might be straight, but the rhythm section is swinging, and vice versa. Like I found this, and I can't tell you an exact example. I should have done some research before this, but I remember learning some reggae music. And sometimes with reggae, it feels like it's swinging, but it's really not, right? From the guitar perspective. So it might be the rhythm section that's swinging. I used to teach a lot of like Bob Marley songs and things like that. And so you have to be a little careful where when it comes to blues, you know, usually you can tell straight off because you're going to hear. So anytime you hear that kind of rhythm, you know you're playing a swing. And that will define what you're going to do with your solo or whatever it is you're doing on top of that as well.
If you're enjoying this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, go to GuitarZoom.com and consider becoming a premium member. There are 3 memberships to choose from. VIP, which gives you instant access to a library of short but powerful courses as well as new bite-sized lessons each month. There's also Play Songs that gives you step-by-step lessons so you can learn to play your favorite songs fast. And finally, there's Masterclass, university-level training on everything from soloing to music theory, from blues to home recording. For more info about these memberships and all the premium courses available to you, go to GuitarZoom.com. Now back to the podcast.
So if you're playing like, something like The House is Rockin', it's straight. You see? Keep your hands to yourself. Now it's doing all this stuff, and we're going to talk about this in one of the sessions coming up here. But it's still straight, right? It's when you get to see. So what I always tell people is it's not enough to count to 4. Like you can listen to any song and you're going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3, or whatever it is you're doing. It's the subdivision, we call it. It's what's happening in between 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So if you start listening and you go 1 and 2 and 3, and you can feel this marching thing start happening, it's an even or straight feel, right? Right. If you're listening and you start thinking ta 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 ta, then you're going to have this swing or shuffle feel.
Good. Hey, one of the questions is how is the difference between the strumming pattern between shuffle or between swing and between straight? Is there strumming patterns different in terms of down and up strokes?
No, it's the way you approach the strum, right? I mean, it's like I showed you the actual strum. Again, the strum could be a million things, right? I could strum this just like I could strum a song all kinds of different ways. But notice when I'm playing this, at the core of this is this rhythm, which is even, right? Or if I was going, now you feel a swing again, you feel this bounce or this pulse, right? And so know that the strum is going to do all kinds of different things. So it just understand that you're always going to have to decide whether or not to do a swing or a shuffle, whether or not you're going to pause the rhythm to create that added space, which on a down strum, you have no choice. But if you're down up strumming, then you can do and create that space. Or again, in your mind, emulate in your mind that you're just strumming further down. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's really not like a down, down, up, or,
right.
I mean, any of those kinds of rhythms that you might learn if you learn a strumming pattern can be played even, or I should say straight or swing.
Mm-hmm. What about the tempo in terms of is like one shuffle, or I keep saying shuffle, is swing always slow, or
no,
is it always fast, or it could be anything?
It can be anything. Again, because you're dealing with a triplet, if you think about it, you take Iron Maiden, you're playing triplets, right? But it doesn't really feel like a swing. But when the drummer comes in, bum-ba-da-dum, bum-bum-bum-bum, it's a triplet feel, right? Where if we're looking for that swing feel, bum-ba-bum-ba-bum-ba-bum. Think of like Brian Setzer. You're going to hear a lot of that swing in the style of music that the Stray Cats or Brian Setzer would play, but oftentimes it's quite up tempo. Where we tend to think of swing as these old kind of blues songs like this, but they're not all like that. I mean, there's certainly bluegrass can be swung. There's a lot of different styles that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. Da 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 da. So what is that doing? Da 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 da. See, it's not da 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 da. Although there's probably a song out there that does that, right?
Yeah.
That straightens that out, and that's okay too. You see. So sometimes depending on the song, it might be a little harder to define. And it also, when you envelop that with a bass player and a rhythm guitar player maybe, and certainly the drummer, that can manipulate how that feels. I was actually telling Dan, if you go back and listen to Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison, it's a prime example of, and I'm not knocking the band, I'm not knocking the song, but if you listen to it, it's almost like they're fighting the swing of that song throughout the song, because when the song starts and it's just acoustic guitar, you feel a swing to the rhythm of the guitar. And then when the drums come in, everything kind of straightens out. So, and maybe they intentionally did that. I mean, but maybe they didn't, right? Maybe it was just a feel thing. So when they're playing, they just, it happens sometimes when you're playing with a band, you start playing something and then the drummer comes in and everything just kind of shifts to this feel. And, another non-related example of this would be when I was a kid, I remember learning how to play Mother by Pink Floyd. Mm-hmm. And it has all these weird time signatures in it. And it never occurred to me that it had weird time signatures because I didn't think about that in my head. I just knew the song so well from listening to it 85 million times that when I played along, I just played along. So I wasn't consciously aware that there were time changes happening in the song. I just played because I liked the song and I knew how it went in my head. So sometimes a lot of these things can happen very organically and you're not conscious of it, right? But if all of a sudden you start playing with a band and you're like, wow, this feels weird, something's off. It might be something like this, where maybe the groove just isn't jiving properly because somebody isn't really pushing that swing or is swinging and shouldn't be.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It is subtle. I think you do have to feel it ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, some songs hit you over the head with it, no doubt about it. Like if you listen to The Jack by AC/DC, it's that gong, 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 You know what I mean? If you listen to like... a song called Hey Baby by Ted Nugent, which is, I just love that groove. It's still got that in there, but it's moving along, where the drummer wouldn't have to be going, He might just play boom, ta, boom, ta, just driving it, right? Mm-hmm. So the drums might not give you the sense that it's swinging, but whatever it is. But so sometimes it's very subtle, sometimes it's not, but you just have to really try and listen and see what's happening in the song. And now going back to what I originally said about Horse with No Name, I always thought that was kind of ironic that song, Horse with No Name, now again, it could be about lots of different things if you know the song. But the fact that the rhythm is like a horse, right? A horse trotting along, it's got that kind of rhythm to it. Now, were they conscious of that when they were writing it? I don't know, maybe, but I just think it's kind of neat how, this horse is tromping along and your rhythm is giving that kind of horse gallop, if you will, or that trot.
Yeah. Sometimes you might hear that word also, guys, gallop rhythm. I've heard that a few times in my life. That's what they're talking about. Cool. Man, this is good. Listen, guys, if you enjoyed this, I think you'll like Steve's new course. It's called Blues Guitar by Steve Stine. And it is an A to Z, everything you want to learn about blues guitar, from these rhythms that we've been talking about to your soloing, to blues scale, to how to use blues licks in your solo, and pretty much A to Z, everything blues guitar that you'd want to learn. It's currently available at GuitarZoom.com, and the course is called Blues Guitar by Steve Stine. I love our names. Like, what should we call this? What's it about? Blues guitar. I think we should call it Blues Guitar.
Yeah, that's right.
We used to have all these funny names and fancy names. Yeah, those are gone. So anyway, guys, if you'd like to be notified of the next session that we do, just subscribe to the channel and make sure that you hit the notify button so that you can get a little notice that we're going live. We try to do these at the same time every day, or when they're on the schedule to do. We're not perfect, so we appreciate your patience. But just make sure you hit the notification button if you'd like to get notified. Also, if you are joining us late here, I know people aren't always on time for these things, which is totally cool. Sometimes life gets in the way, or you just now discovered this video or whatever. Don't worry. We take all of these live sessions that we do for you and we put them in a nice, tidy playlist on the YouTube channel. And if you go to the YouTube channel for Guitar Zoom, you click on playlists. There'll be a playlist there called Blues Guitar Workshop, which has all the previous sessions that we've done. And there are quite a few of them. And there's a few more coming up. So if you like that, go check it out. Watch all those if you'd like. And hey, if you want to get serious about blues guitar, go check out Steve's course, Blues Guitar by Steve Stine. Anything else, my friend?
No, I think that's good, bud.
I think it is too. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We do absolutely appreciate you. We know that you're the reason that we're able to do what we do. It's always a blessing. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. And Dan, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Later.
Next time on the Steve Stine Guitar Podcast. In an earlier session, we were talking about the 12-bar blues and what the 12-bar blues is and how we can use power chords or bar chords, seventh chords, things like that to make our 12-bar blues. Well, there's another way of playing blues that's actually quite fun and very useful, and that's doing what we're referring to as a shuffle. I don't know that it's the perfect name for it, but that's really what people often refer to it as. So what we're doing here is we're going to take the, I'm still going to be in the key of A. I'll just be in the same key I've been in for quite some time here on these. So I'm using the A and the D and the E, which is the 1, 4, 5. And I'm going to play them as a power chord. So instead of playing them as a full bar chord, the reason I want to play them as a power chord is because I need my fingers free to do other things. So I'm just going to play the 5th fret and the 7th fret, the top 2 strings, as a power chord. And what that does is it enables my pinky now to be free to do this little shuffle thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pinky and I'm going to place it 2 frets higher on the same string that my third finger is on. No matter what chord I go to, I'm always going to add my pinky 2 frets higher on the same string that my third or my ring finger is on. So right now my third finger's on the 7th fret. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach up to the 9th fret, and I'm going to press down on the 5th string on the 9th fret there. So if I was playing a shuffle style rhythm or a swing rhythm, what I want to do is I want to take that pinky now and I want to add it on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Hey, Steve Stine here from GuitarZoom.com, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, can I ask you a favor? Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your feedback means more to me than you'll ever know. And be sure to check out my YouTube channels where you'll find over 1,000 videos to help you with your guitar playing. Thanks again for listening. Stay positive, keep playing, and keep having fun.
If you'd like some help with your guitar playing but you're not sure how to get started, go to GuitarZoom.com and look for the Help Me Choose survey. By answering a few simple questions, you'll get Steve's personal recommendation of the perfect course for you. All this and more is available for you at GuitarZoom.com.